Welcome back to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? You're trying so hard to build a good habit, maybe get to the gym or eat healthier, but you're relying purely on willpower. And then, well, life happens and poof, it falls apart. Today, we're diving into why that happens, really digging into this profound idea that motivation is pretty much overrated.
It really is. Our goal here for you listening is to get practical about this concept that your environment, it often shapes your success way more than just feeling motivated. We're going to break down how you can actually design your surroundings, become an architect of your own behavior, Make the good stuff automatic and the bad stuff, well, almost impossible to do, all without draining that willpower battery.
That's the core of it, isn't it? Willpower, it runs out. It's like a muscle gets tired. We have to face it. Over time, we don't just live somewhere. We actually become a product of the space, the cues, the whole setup around us.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Your brain, it's wired for efficiency. It's constantly scanning, looking for those little triggers, those cues, and then firing off these automatic, non-conscious behaviors because, frankly, it's just easier than thinking everything through every single time. So if you want real, lasting change, you got to stop fighting the current and just change the direction of the river itself, change the cues.
Okay, so we're zoning in on James Clear's first law of behavior change. Make it obvious. And just as crucial, its flip side, make it invisible. Let's unpack how we can use these to build a world, or at least our world, where the right choice is just the easy choice.
Yeah, visibility. That's the bedrock here. Every single habit you have, good or bad, starts with a trigger, a cue. And if that cue is staring you right in the face, you're just so much more likely to act on it. It's almost unavoidable sometimes.
You see this play out so clearly in consumer behavior and economics. Think about how big companies engineer what you see. Why do we pick certain brands? It's not always taste, is it? Often it's just there. It's the most obvious thing available.
Absolutely. The easier something is to see and grab, the more likely you are to choose it. It's why the expensive big-name brands get that prime shelf space in the supermarket right at eye level. And the cheaper store brands, often they're way down low or up high. You actually have to make an effort to find them.
And get this stat from the sources really blew my mind. 45% of Coca-Cola sales come from those end-of-aisle displays, the end caps. 45%. That just screams that we're not these super rational shoppers weighing pros and cons. We're reacting almost instinctively to what's put right in our path.
That's a huge number, isn't it? It just shows that the difference between buying something and not buying it can literally be a few steps in a glance. If we really let that sink in, we realize, hey, we can use that same power for our own goals.
Which leads perfectly into that great case study you mentioned, the one by Dr. Ann Thorndike at Massachusetts General Hospital. She wanted to nudge people towards healthier choices in the cafeteria, but without, nagging them or giving lectures.
Exactly. Her team just changed the layout, the choice architecture, as they call it, those fridges right by the checkouts. They used to be only soda, so they simply added bottled water right alongside the soda, made it an equal option, and they put baskets of water near the food stations, too. Simple changes.
And the result, over just 3 months, soda sales plummeted, down 11.4%, and bottled water sales, they shot up by 25.8%. Nobody said a word to the customers or staff. The environment did the talking. What really strikes you about how that worked?
It's how subtle it was. It just highlights that we often respond to whatever is easiest, most immediate. When you make the healthy option the obvious one, the path of least resistance, people tend to take it. You sidestep that whole internal debate. And this idea, designing for transparency, you see it elsewhere too. Remember the point about homes with electricity meters?
Oh, right. If the meter was stuck down in the basement, people didn't think about usage much. But if it was in the main hallway, somewhere they saw it every day, those homes used significantly less electricity. The feedback loop was obvious.
And maybe my favorite quirky example. The fly sticker in the urinals at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. Seriously, just putting a tiny, realistic-looking fly sticker near the drain acted as this subconscious target. It dramatically improved aim, and get this, it cut bathroom cleaning costs by 8% a year. No signs, no instructions, just a visual cue.
Huh. That's brilliant. It really drives home the point.
Bleh.
Stop trying to swim against the current of human nature. Instead, just redirect the current. Make the path you want to take the easiest one to follow.
Okay, so we've talked visibility, but visibility is often tied to where things are. Location matters. Which brings us nicely to context. How the space itself, the environment, becomes a powerful cue that triggers specific actions, often without us even realizing it.
Yeah, like if your guitar is hidden away in a closet or your vitamins are tucked back in the pantry, those cues are weak. They're easy to ignore. Our brains love consistency. They learn to associate certain activities with certain places. This room is for X, that chair is for Y.
And we can totally use that association to our advantage. Think about that classic study with people suffering from insomnia. They were told, only get into bed when you actually feel tired. And crucially, if you're lying there awake for, say, 15 minutes, get up, go to another room, only come back when you feel sleepy again.
Right. The power there is breaking the old association and building a new one. Over time, their brains started to link the bed only with sleep, not with scrolling on their phone or watching TV or just, staring at the clock, stressing out. The bed meant sleep, period.
Context became the cue for sleep. Enter the bedroom, feel tired, brain says, okay, sleep time, no more wrestling with it. And that's where that really practical mantra comes from. One space, one use.
Okay, but let's be real here. One space, one use sounds fantastic if you've got a huge house with dedicated rooms for everything. What about most of us? Living in apartments where the kitchen table is also the home office and the living room couch is for relaxing and checking work emails. How do you apply this when spaces have to pull double duty?
That's a really important point, a fair challenge. The trick is to think smaller, more about microenvironments and rituals. So if your desk has to be your dining table, create really clear boundaries with rituals. Maybe you have a specific lamp you only turn on for work, or a particular placemat. Then, when work time is over, you physically put away the work stuff, laptop closed, papers filed, lamp off. You actively reset the space's purpose. The action of clearing defines the transition.
Okay. So you're not necessarily changing the physical room, but you're changing the cues within that room to signal a shift in purpose. That feels more doable, adaptable.
Exactly. Or take exercise. If your running shoes are buried in the closet, that cue is weak. But what if you lay out your workout clothes and shoes right beside your bed the night before? Now, your bedroom still serves sleep, but first thing in the morning, the obvious cue is for exercise. You've given the space two distinct time-bound uses, but made the good cue unmissable.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And another example from the book I liked was about grocery shopping, trying to eat healthier. Just switch supermarkets. Go to a different store. It forces you off autopilot. You can't just zombie walk to the usual junk food aisle because you don't know where it is anymore. It makes you conscious again, at least for a while. All right, let's flip the claim now. We've made good habits obvious. How do we break bad ones? This is the inversion of that first law, and it's basically the secret sauce for self-control. Make the bad cues invisible.
Yeah, this is critical because habits, once they're grooved into our brains, neurologically speaking, they're really hard to just forget. So relying on pure willpower, constantly resisting temptation, it's exhausting. It's a losing battle long term. You just burn out.
It takes so much mental energy to keep saying, no, no, no. You might win a few times, but eventually fatigue sets in. The smarter approach, don't fight the cue, just remove it. Make it harder to even start the bad habit by adding friction.
And the cool thing about friction is it doesn't have to be a giant wall. Just a little bump in the road can be enough to derail that automatic impulse. Like, if you play too many video games, don't just switch off the console. Unplug it. Maybe put the controller in a different drawer. Put the console itself back in its box or in a closet after each use. That extra minute or two of setup needed next time, it can be surprisingly effective at making you pause and think, maybe later.
Totally. And this works so well in our digital lives too, right? Which are basically designed to eliminate friction and keep us hooked. Mindlessly checking social media all the time. Get those apps off your phone's home screen. Bury them in a folder. Or better yet, just delete them.
That little bit of hassle, that friction, it's amazing how powerful it is. The sources point out that for lots of people, just the thought of having to go to the app store, re-download the app, log back in, it breaks the spell. It can stop that impulse dead in its tracks, maybe for days or weeks. You're basically trading a 2-second habit for a 2-minute chore.
James Clear, the author, he talks about doing this himself, doesn't he? With his phone. He leaves it in another room until lunchtime each day. It's not like it's locked away, but just the friction of having to get up and walk to another room stops that constant, mindless checking.
And the payoff. He gets, 3 or 4 hours of focused, uninterrupted work done every single morning. The big takeaway here is that your energy is finite. Spend it once setting up your environment strategically rather than spending it over and over again fighting a losing battle against temptation in that environment. A little bit of smart design goes a long way.
It's kind of wild how small these changes can be, isn't it? Closing a cabinet door, deleting an app, moving something across the room. Often the difference between sticking to your goals and sliding back is just measured in a few seconds of added friction. #tagged outro. So let's wrap this up. What's the big message for you listening right now? I think the core lesson we've really dug into today is this shift in perspective. Stop seeing yourself as like a victim of your own bad habits or lack of motivation. Instead, become the architect.
Hmm.
You design your environment. You deliberately make the good cues obvious and the bad cues invisible. That's how you take back control without having to rely 100% on willpower, which we know is flaky.
Exactly. You're not trying to forge a new self through sheer grit and moral fortitude alone. You're using small external tweaks to guide your behavior. You're essentially making the easy path the right path. You're making the path of least resistance lead you where you actually want to go.
But we can't end there without throwing out one last kind of challenging thought. Because even the most perfectly optimized physical space isn't the whole story. We have to talk about the huge influence of social norms, the people around us.
Oh, absolutely. Humans are, at our core, herd animals. We have this incredibly deep-seated need to belong, to fit in, and often the normal behavior of our tribe, our friends, family, colleagues, that can easily overpower our own individual desires or beautifully designed home environment. You can hide all the junk food cues in your house, but if your whole social life revolves around meeting up at the pub or the pizza place every week, you're constantly swimming upstream.
That really raises the stakes for environment design, doesn't it? It becomes the ultimate challenge. If changing your habits means you might have to push against the norms of your current social group, your tribe, well, how do you redesign your social environment? Maybe that means finding new people who share your goals. Or maybe it means trying to influence and elevate the standards within your existing circle.
That's probably the most complex, maybe the most important piece of this whole environmental puzzle. If you really want to transform your life, sometimes you have to look hard at the people you spend time with, because they are the living, breathing cues that often set your default behaviors, whether you realize it or not.
Wow. Okay. Definitely something powerful to think about as you look around at the world and the people you've built around yourself.
Yeah.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.